Hey, you all, Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from the Midwest. More specifically, we're in Waterloo, Iowa, and I actually have to head north out of Iowa here shortly. I'm trying to make it to my father's in Minnesota. We're having a family reunion for the 4th of July, but I figured before we left Waterloo, we would stop off here at the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. Now, this is traditional wrestling, as in like grappling at a competitive level, but it is my understanding that they also do have, it also includes professional wrestling, which I am a huge fan of. The more theatrical product that you see today, WWE, AEW, it understands that they do give that sport credence as well. There used to actually be a professional wrestling museum in Wichita Falls, Texas, but that is apparently closed under mysterious circumstances. If you have any information on what happened to the professional wrestling museum and Hall of Fame, leave a comment in the comments section, because I was looking online and I saw some strange things, so trying to put all that together. But that's not for today. Today we are here to visit the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. Please follow me. So more specifically, it is the National Wrestling Hall of Fame and the Dan Gable Museum. I am not sure who Dan Gable is. My guess is he's someone who is probably very skilled at wrestling. We are greeted here by a statue of Dan Gable in his wrestling gear. He's got a little American flag there. 4th of July is very soon. Here it talks about wrestling in antiquity, saying that wrestling is actually mankind's oldest sport. This is actually mentioned in the Epic of Gilgamesh, which was 2700 BC. They mention wrestling in the Bible by saying that Jacob wrestled the angel of the Lord, and also the Iliad. So yeah, you definitely don't see football or basketball mentioned in the Bible. Yeah, it says here, wrestling, the sport for kings and presidents. You can see a painting there of a wrestling match involving Abe Lincoln. You can tell he's the really tall one. And yes, apparently in his younger days he was known to be an amazing wrestler. It also says that apparently George Washington as well was a wrestler. So I would have loved to have seen a wrestling match between those two, George Washington versus Abe Lincoln. That would have been an amazing match. Yeah, it says the first national wrestling tournament was held in New York in 1888. And this is the first national champion here, Harold DeMarche. And apparently he was only 115 pounds. And some of the history of wrestling in Iowa. It says 1921 Iowa holds the first high school state wrestling tournament. Yeah, you can see the statues there. This is known as the Wrestlers. And you can see, wrestling originally the competitors would not wear any clothing. I think it was a good decision when they decided to switch that. I think he's going for a gut wrench powerbomb. And here's an exhibit on Dan Gable, who the museum is named after. He was from here in Waterloo, Iowa, and is generally considered to be one of the greatest wrestlers to ever live. Down here you have Dan Gable's wrestling shoes, and then this is a dagger that he won in a wrestling tournament in the Soviet Union. The irony of awarding a dagger to a wrestler is a wrestler doesn't need weapons, because they'll just wrestle you. Wrestling is like fighting without weapons, by definition. There's a Dan Gable bobblehead. Well, there is some, is that Dan Gable beer there? And a couple of Dan Gable action figures. Over here you have the Dan Gable Learning Center in this room. Yeah, it looks like they actually have a little gym set up here where wrestling matches can take place. And we have a section on Olympic wrestling here. Some singlets used to wrestle in the Olympics. And definitely someone that I am familiar with for being a pro wrestling fan is Kurt Angle. He actually won a gold medal in the Olympics and was the first gold medal Olympian to transfer to being a professional wrestler instead of an amateur wrestler. And we actually look at that. There is one of Kurt Angle's singlets. It's autographed there. It says Kurt Angle, WWE Champion, 2002 Armageddon. So he would have worn this at the 2002 Armageddon pay-per-view where he wrestled The Big Show. Some Kurt Angle items up here. There's a Kurt Angle bobblehead. There is Kurt Angle on the cover of TV Guide, which used to be a massive, huge deal. And then these are the wrestling shoes that he won the NCAA championship while wearing. Man, does Kurt Angle have tiny feet? Look at that. This is the Waterloo High School scale that was used to weigh wrestlers. And apparently there's something about Iowa. Must be something like in the water, or maybe it's all the pork they eat. But a lot of wrestling out of Iowa. Something about it. Here is a singlet of Cale Sanderson, who wrestled for Iowa State University. You can see he has his own bobblehead there. Got to be on the cover of Wheaties, which of course is a big deal. And over here, he got to be on a can of chunky grilled chicken soup. Even autographed that can there. It says anybody can wrestle, showing the different sizes of wrestlers. Little Bobby Weaver here, only 105 pounds, while Chris Taylor, 6'5", 440 pounds. And look at this. There actually is a fairly sizable section dedicated to professional wrestling. This is the George Tragos Luthez Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame in this room. Oh yeah, look at this. Got the wrestling ring set up there. And some wrestlers' items here. Now this 2x4 here, that's autographed by Hacksaw Jim Duggan, which that's just amazing right there. This is New Japan Pro Wrestling, Abe Jacobs. Some of these aren't labeled, so I'm not exactly sure who these two sparkly shirts belong to, but yeah, very cool to see pro wrestling honored here. This outfit here belongs to Thunderbolt Patterson. He was an icon in African American wrestling. He was actually inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame earlier this year. Got his t-shirt there and his boots. You can see TP for Thunderbolt Patterson. See the painting of Lou Thez, one of the most famous pro wrestlers of all time. And there is Lou Thez's robe there. Some other famous old school wrestlers. This jacket here belonged to Danny Hodge. You can definitely recognize this jacket without having to look it up. This is Bret the Hitman Hart's ring jacket. One of my favorites growing up. Remember, he became champion after Hulk Hogan left WWE. He beat Ric Flair for the championship. And it was so different, I remember, because Bret Hart, his gimmick, or kind of his character, was basically just that he was a really good wrestler, and he out-wrestled people. He wasn't flashy like Hulk Hogan, but he was just the best. He could just wrestle better than anyone else. And I know the jackets here, he was a big fan of the Beatles, and that inspired him. Sgt. Pepper's inspired him to wear jackets like this, alluding to the Beatles. And then this robe is Scrap Iron Adam Pearce, who is actually currently on television every week. He is the general manager of Monday Night Raw. Let's see Adam Pearce there, and his purple robe that he wore in another life. You can see the backs of the gear here. Bret Hart's skull there. And then Scrap Iron Pierce. That says this statue of two wrestlers belong to Lou Thez. And this here is a very fascinating artifact. This is the headlock machine belonging to Ed Strangler Lewis. The legend was that he couldn't find people to spar with him, and he wanted to practice his headlock, because that was the reason he was called the Strangler, because he loved using the headlock. So he developed the headlock machine to practice his headlocks on, where it's like a wooden head, and then apparently there's a big giant railroad spring in between, so he could squeeze this all day and practice his headlocks. There's an NWA belt buckle there that belonged to Lou Thez, and you can see those are the AWA World Tag Team Championships. And this here, it says this is actually a replica, but this is Lou Thez's World Championship belt. So it just kind of shows you how right here in this case, you can see how the championship belts evolved over time. It's like a tiny little ornament there, and eventually they became these big belts that we know today. And these are Frank Gotch's shoes. Now, Frank Gotch, absolute legendary wrestler and fighter, and apparently he had a sword as well. That's Frank Gotch's sword. Okay, I guess he was a mason. That's why he has that sword. Some wrestling boots here. These ones here belong to NWA champion Jack Briscoe. There's the Vern Gagne wrestling board game here, and then a mask that belonged to the Destroyer. Now, I remember the Destroyer because I remember watching on YouTube, and you go watch this right now. He actually had a wrestling match against an actual bear, and you could remember stumbling upon that and was just fascinated with a man wrestling a bear. And then Harley Race's bronze boot there. Looks like Harley Race had pretty big feet. Yes, has this trunk here belonged to Frank Gotch. And this is a replica of the WWE Championship. It is autographed by John Cena, who popularized this particular style. But there is the $1 million belt, and I remember the $1 million belt quite well. Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, he couldn't win. He couldn't win the championship, so he actually just made himself a championship belt out of gold diamonds. Then it would be passed down over the years to some of his proteges, including Steve Austin. I remember Steve Austin talking about when he got the belt that there was a bunch of jewels missing, that it was falling apart, and you can actually see up close here that the belt is falling apart. And then down here we have a life-size bust of Frank Tillett, the French Angel. And you can see by the head, he has very, very massive head there. He actually had gigantism, much like Andre the Giant, another pro wrestler. But he was a wrestler, he had the giantism, but apparently in him, I think he was still very large, but it manifested mostly in his features. He had very unique characteristics, a big face, big head, big characteristics. And yeah, there's a bust of his head. And he gained some fame as apparently they actually used him as inspiration when they animated Shrek, the animated ogre. Yeah, I don't know if it comes across, but that is such a big head. That is probably that. I've never seen a living human with a head that enormous. You can see a campaign sign for Jesse Ventura when he was running for governor of Minnesota. A wrestler getting into politics. Yeah, wrestlers can do all sorts of things these days. And it does look like they still are in process of setting up this section. You can see a lot of things there on the floor, and a few things are not yet labeled. For instance, in this right here, I don't want to just guess, but that looks like maybe like an ornamentation for a kilt So I don't want to go out of line, but maybe could that possibly have belonged to Roddy Piper? And there's Nick Bockwinkel's passport. So the George Tragos Luthez Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. You can see the actual inductees on this wall. It looks like the first year that they did induction was 1999. And yeah, you can see a lot of big names there. Vern Gagne, Frank Gotch, Ed Strangler Lewis, and George Tragos. Well, it actually has the whole Hall of Fame named after him as well. See some of the wrestlers I remember here. Bret Hart, of course, talks about his legendary family, trained by his father, became one of the most popular stars in the WWE at one point, WWF at that point. There is Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig there. There is Terry Funk, and I've never seen him look that young. He unfortunately did pass away last year. Oh, this is Bob Gino Morella, better known as Gorilla Monsoon when he was in WWF. And there's Kurt Angle, of course, the biggest crossover star between amateur and professional wrestling. See Ric Flair up there. Dusty Rhodes. There's Beth Phoenix. She actually lives in Asheville. Her and Edge are married. See Owen Hart, Dan Severn there. There is the Steiner brothers. It's Robert Rex Steiner, also known as Rick Steiner, when he's actually wrestling. And then Big Papa Pump himself, Scott Steiner. And of course, the Iron Sheik. This wall here is kind of a mix of different wrestlers' singlets. They have the professional wrestlers, the Olympic wrestlers, the college wrestlers, all mixed together. You can see it's Nikita Koloff's there with the hammer and sickle on it. There's Mr. Perfect's singlet up there, and a lot of Olympic and college athletes here. Oh boy, it is rainy outside. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it does not look like there is any end in sight for this rain. So they were kind enough to let me wait out the storm inside the wrestling museum, but the rain is showing absolutely no sign of going away, and I do have places I gotta be, so I'm gonna make a run for it. I have removed my socks so they don't get soaked, and let's just go out into the rain. Let's go. Ah, come on, guy. Oh, Iowa downpour here. All right, we've almost made it. All right. Woo. Okay. I'm good. Sorry. Sometimes maybe I overreact a little bit about rain. I just don't like being rained on. But yes, it is time. It is time to get back on that long, lonesome road. And my change oil light has been on since Missouri, so I think I need to get that taken care of before I travel anymore. All right, let's get Jiffy lubed. So yeah, inevitably, I always end up needing a oil change when I'm on the road, which makes sense because I'm on the road so much. It'd actually be a miracle if the light actually came on while I was at home. I end up getting, I think it's about once a month, I end up getting my my oil changed because, you know, I put a lot of mileage on the cars. So fortunately there are places, you know, like this Jiffy Lube where you can stop and get it done quickly without having to wait. One time I was in California, I couldn't find anywhere to do it in a timely manner. So like the, you know, smaller towns, things like that have the more options for that. Now we have crossed over the state line into Minnesota, currently in the town of Rochester, Minnesota. And over here, you see a field, and in a field, you often see various things growing: wheat, beans, perhaps even corn. But in this field, the corn grows a little bit taller. As you can see, that towering cob water tower, a big cob of corn towering over the town of Rochester. I really love the unique water towers. You know, traveling across the country, I've seen peach water towers. I've seen ketchup water towers. I've seen watermelon water towers. And this definitely falls in line with that trend of delicious water towers. But Rochester, Minnesota has more than just a giant cob of corn. Here at the Reliable Medical Supply Company, they also have this giant, oversized mobility scooter. I was going to try to climb up in the seat there, but it actually appears that it is of not sound quality. It started to, the bottom here started to squish a little bit. Sometimes, you know, when you leave a giant mobility scooter out in the sun, it loses some of its integrity. But it does look like someone has strung a American flag up there for the 4th of July. Stopped off in Hampton, Minnesota. Here at Island and Sons Trucking, a couple of Viking mascots. Of course, it does appear that the people of Minnesota do love their Vikings. There's another Viking over this way. That looks like some fiberglass giants here. Look at that towering Viking. Over here you can see a rock delivery truck from Island and Sons, but it's being lifted up here by a rope to this giant guy in his boxer shorts. And look up on his boxer shorts, he actually does have, there's little Viking heads there. I'm guessing the owners here, Island and Sons, maybe fans of Vikings, fans of perhaps the sports team, the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, you can see all the little heads there, and then right there, right there, you know, where his genitals would be, you do see a little purple football helmet that someone placed there. For our final stop of the evening, we are in West St. Paul, Minnesota. You notice over here, almost on this little island in the traffic, is our final destination. This is Albert Park. And this park was declared the smallest dedicated park in the world by none other than Robert Ripley in Ripley's Believe It or Not. You see Albert Park here, established 1931 by Albert Lefebvre in memory of his son Albert. So we're in the center of the park. I don't know, it's really not that small to me. I feel like I've been to a smaller park somewhere else, but you can see I'll give you guys a 360 look at this park here. You know, you can't play in this park. You don't let your kids run around in this park too much. It's surrounded by traffic on every side. You can see though, it is nicely mowed. It is kept up. It's got some beautiful flowers planted here. And then right there on the other side of this obelisk, it says smallest dedicated park in the USA, Robert Ripley. Ripley's Believe It or Not. I wonder what the distinction is. What's a dedicated park? I don't know what the difference between a normal park and a dedicated park is. If you do know the difference between a normal park and a dedicated park, leave a comment in the comments section. We will end our day today here in the world's smallest dedicated park. I have arrived. I've arrived in the St. Paul area here. I'm actually here to visit family. My dad is having a family reunion for the 4th of July. Family coming from all over the country to visit here in Minnesota. So I will be spending some time with family. I do plan on filming a few things while I'm here, so stay tuned. You guys have a good 4th of July, whatever you're doing for the 4th. Hope you guys have fun. I'm not sure what we're doing as a family for the 4th, but yeah, I may miss a few days here and there. And if you noticed, I posted a video a while back that I was trying to work on my upload schedule and something more realistic. I was doing every day for a while. I've been taking more days off, but I've been trying to put more focus on the individual videos, trying to make longer videos, but maybe take a day off here and there. Let the videos breathe a little bit. Let me know how you guys like it. Let me know if you prefer the every day, or if you want me to go back to that, or if you like me taking time off every couple days, every 2-3 days, sometimes one day, take a break. I think it gives the videos a chance to air. I do feel like there's possibly too much Carpetbagger could be a bad thing. Give people a bit to breathe, I understand asking you guys to watch these long videos every day can be a bit much. But after this trip, we are going to be going on a great adventure. Once family time is done here in Minnesota, I'm going to be headed west because we're going to whirlwind. We're going to be going on a whirlwind trip. I literally do not know when I will be back at my own home. It could be up to 2 months before I am back home, because I've got a lot of plans, a lot of things I want to complete, and one of those is my dedicated mission to visit all of the state fairs. And there's some state fairs that I've got to knock off, one of them being the California State Fair. So my plan is leaving Minnesota and driving all the way to California for the California State Fair, and checking that off the list. Maybe hitting a few more state fairs on my way back from California, and of course trying to hit some theme parks on the way, as well as other attractions. Summer is busy for me because everything is open, so I'm trying to take advantage of that, trying to maybe go to some places in the country I don't normally go to in the summer, and just hopefully find some interesting stuff. Hopefully you guys are up for going on this journey with me. And I got things scheduled. I'm going to be at different places, trying to hit the state fairs. I've got family
in Indiana at the end of this month. So get to there, then also get out east to hit some other festivals and things going on. So this is going to be 2 months of intenseness as we ride out these summer months, pretty much bleeding directly in to the haunt season. And I don't know. I'm going to be, obviously I will be doing haunts on this channel. I don't know exactly which haunts I'm going to be doing. There's limited days to do haunts. So I may only hit a handful of haunts this year, because I got my state fair project as well as other things going on. Let me know if you own a haunt, if you know someone who owns a haunt, or if you're just a fan of a haunt, if there's haunts that you would definitely 100% like me to go out of my way to make sure I cover this year. Reach out to me, especially people own haunts, run haunts. Please reach out to me and see what we can work out with me coming out and doing a few haunts this season, because it's going to be a busy, crazy season, crazy haunt season, a crazy summer, and who knows, probably bleed all the way into a crazy Christmas. But thank you guys so much for following along with me. I've really been feeling a lot of love from you guys over the past month. A lot of people followed along with the Mississippi River trip, and look at this, I'm almost back where I started here in the Twin City area. And I've been up and down the river all around the country, and there's no end in sight. Thanks for, I've been visiting a lot of amusement parks, theme parks recently. You guys seem to have enjoyed that. But much, much more to come. So stay tuned. Thank you guys for coming along with me. If you like these videos, please subscribe. I travel around the country. I film roadside attractions, amusement parks, museums, haunted houses, and other fun, random stuff. If you'd like to help support the channel, consider contributing to Patreon. $3 or more gets you a postcard once a month from me to you. Also selling enamel pins in the Etsy shop. Also doing personalized messages on Cameo. If you are interested in any of those things, check the description of this video. All the information will be there. And all those things, of course, help keep this train on the track, this boat in the water, and this dirigible in the air. Until next time, my friends, happy 4th of July. And this one is in the bag.